Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, for those of you that saw me make the sofrito, the video that I did making sofrito, and for those of you that did not, sofrito is, I'm going to call it Spanish or Hispanic seasoning that you prepare ahead of time so that you can have it ready to go to make a meal. Because most of our meals are based on some base ingredients like rice, beans, meats that usually take the same kinds of ingredients. So sofrito, as you can see here, is just all of those spices combined with olive oil. And then what I do is I take them and put them in this lasagna pan and freeze it. And as you can see, I cut it up into 8 sections. Okay, so now what I'm making today is I'm going to make some Dominican rice with some pork in it. I ended up cooking a pork loin a couple days ago, and we still had about half of it left that we didn't eat. So I cut that up, let me show you, into little cubes. I'm going to end up cooking that inside of the rice. So stick around and let me show you what it's going to look like. All right. Oops, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So this is my sofrito. I've already got water in here. I've got 4 cups of water in here. I'm going to make a 2.5 cup of rice dish. All right, so I've got 4 cups of water in here. I've got 2.5 cups of rice in here. This is not the long grain rice that I normally use for making Dominican rice. This is the sticky rice or the cow rose. The reason I'm using this rice this time is because I'm going to use this rice with pork that I'm making here to stuff it into a burrito. Okay, so the sticky rice forms a lot better when you're using it for that. If I were using it to eat, as just eating it out of a plate, I would be using long grain rice. Okay, but here's my sofrito, and I'm going to take one of these sections right here, and I'm going to put it right into my pot of boiling water. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the rest of this piece right here. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, all this is just a bunch of spices ground up. And if you want to know what the ingredients for this is, just go to the video that I made where I show off making the sofrito. So I'll try to remember to leave a card up here for that video so you guys can check it out. So what we're doing now is we've got our water boiling, and we're just going to let this in here. Oh, let me turn on this light, probably better. We're just going to let this frozen sofrito go ahead and dissolve into the water. Okay, let me put that there, see if you guys can get a better look. All right, so we're just going to stir this around until that sofrito dissolves, because most of it is frozen. However, since it's got a lot of olive oil in it, it doesn't freeze hard enough to where you cannot cut it easily into sections. Like cutting it into sections that you just saw here, it didn't take too much effort to do that. Okay. So right now what I'm doing is, while I'm waiting that to dissolve, is I'm going to put the rest of my sofrito in the freezer. So I'm going to put it back to where it belongs so it can go to sleep until I need it again. Okay, so be right back. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that maybe don't cook rice on a regular basis and don't know how to cook it, it's very easy. Just follow these instructions that I'm giving you here with the proportions. Like I've got 4 cups of water, 2.5 cups of rice. All right, I added my sofrito in there. All right, if I were to measure that sofrito, I'd say there's probably about 6 ounces worth, between 4 and 6 ounces worth. Right, now that my water is boiling really good, since I'm making it with meat in it, which I usually don't, I'm going to go ahead and put my meat in there. Because when you're making rice, what you want to make sure you do is, you want to make sure that before you put the rice in there, that everything is up to temperature. Okay? You want to make sure that everything is up to temperature. You don't want to put the rice in there, get it hot, and then add things that are cold. That's going to bring the temperature down. That can cause some of your rice not to cook evenly, and you may end up with having some pieces of rice in there that are crunchy where the others are soft. So you want them to all cook evenly together. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and let this come back up to a boil, and then we're going to add one more ingredient in there before we add the rice. Okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, if some of you may be asking from the videos that I've done in the past, I've always said to use about 2 cups of water to every 1 cup of rice that you're cooking. So you may be asking yourself, if in the past you've told us that you should use 2 cups of water for every 1 cup of rice, why are you putting in 2.5 cups of rice to 4 cups of water? The reason for that is because I've got meat in there, all right, that has a little bit of water in it. I've got the sofrito in there, which also has a little bit of water in it with the oil. And I'm also going to add some frozen mixed vegetables, which also has a little bit of water in there, right? So the extra water from these ingredients that I'm adding in there will go ahead and supplement the extra half a cup of rice that I'm putting in there, okay? If you end up putting too much water in here, what's going to happen is that your rice is going to come out really sticky, and not sticky in a good way, but like mushy, okay? So you want to make sure that you don't put too much water in there, or else you're going to end up with just a mushy mess of rice, and it's not going to be nice at all. Okay, so as you can see, I put some mixed vegetables in there. And for those of you that watched the video where I made the sofrito, you see what I mean about how much time it saves? I haven't added any spices in here. If anything, when this is getting ready to, when this comes to a boil and I'm almost ready to put the rice in it, I will grab a spoon and just take a little sip and taste it to make sure that it doesn't need anything, but it shouldn't need a lot, all right? Had I been doing this from scratch, I would have still been putting in all the spices. And by making your sofrito ahead of time, you're saving yourself all the time, all the prep time of taking the spices out and measuring them and putting them in. Doing it this way, I just grab my sofrito, I put it in here, and we're ready to go in about 5 minutes. So from start to finish, as far as prep time goes, we're going to be at about between 10 and 15 minutes instead of half an hour. So it's going to save you some time when you come home from work and you want to make a meal, all right? Instead of buying a meal, you can make it yourself. It'll save you some time on the prep time, all right? And it's just a no-brainer that way, all right? Because you've already done some of the work, and now all you got to do is just put this together. And what we're doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is really the hardest part of making this meal, okay? Because all we're doing now is just stirring this around so that nothing will burn in the bottom, and we're bringing it to a boil. And then once we bring it to a boil, we're going to add our rice, allow it to come back to a boil, and then we're going to cover it and put it away until it's done cooking. All right, so give me a second. I'm going to go get a lid for this. Excuse me. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hunting for a lid. This is Alaska Prepper. Do you know where the lid is for this? The glass lid? I'm still hunting for the lid, ladies and gentlemen, but meanwhile, let me go ahead and take a little taste of this and see what it's like. Alright. Well, that tastes perfect. That is actually really good. Alright, so now that we've got a boil like this, we're going to go ahead and add our rice. Like I said, 2.5 cups of rice. And what you want to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is when we're working the rice, you don't need to stir it vigorously, but you do need to stay here and babysit it. All right. You want to go ahead and just continue to stir it a little bit so that the rice won't get stuck to the bottom and burn, because right now we have this on high heat. All right, so you see this, it's not really boiling hard, but we want this to come to a good boil. And then once it comes to a good boil, we're going to go ahead and shift it to a, oh, thank you. Mrs. Alaska Prepper found me the lid. It was actually right in front of me and I wasn't seeing it. All right, so now you see this, ladies and gentlemen, this is coming to a good boil, okay? So you're going to have to experiment with your stove and the heat settings on your stove. I know that with this stove, all I have to do is turn my heating element in the back on. You can see it come on, put it all the way on low. Then I'm going to turn the front one off where it is right now and move it to the back. Okay, so now this is on a low heat setting. I used to do this when I had an electric stove as well, and what I did was I used to put the temperature of the element I had it on all the way to low, as far to the left as your knob would go. I would put it on all the way to low. And what you're going to do is you're going to let this sit on that burner on low for at least 30 minutes without opening that lid. I normally like to give it an extra 2 or 3 minutes, so I'll set my timer for 30 minutes, and when it goes off, I'll get up 2 or 3 minutes later and come and turn it off. Okay, so we're going to be back here about 30 minutes my time, more like 1 or 2 seconds your time, so I can show you what it comes out like. That way you can be encouraged to make this, because it's very easy. From the minute I started this video till now, till it's already on the stove cooking, it's been about 12 minutes, okay, or a little less than that. So that was all the prep time we needed for this rice to cook. Now we just have to let it sit there and let it cook. All right, so we'll be back in a few seconds. Back, YouTubers.
I'm going to eat all of this.
Oh no, Victor's here. No, Victor, we're gonna use this rice to make some burritos. Huh? It's gonna be good with some black bean. You don't like burritos?
No.
Why? You don't like burritos?
Your food should not be trapped.
It's not trapped. You get to bite into a burrito and it holds everything together. That way you don't need a
trapped
fork.
like dog.
Okay. Excuse Victor, ladies and gentlemen. He has the day off work today, and he's been making his rounds every time he smells some new food cooking. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. This is what it looks like after it's done cooking. So I let it cook for about 32 minutes. I always let it cook for about 2 or 3 minutes past the 30-minute mark. And this is what it looks like. And I have to say, it looks really good. And I know that it tastes really good. Victor tried some already. What are you doing? You already tried some. Shh. Victor tried some already, and I think he said it was good. How do you like it, Victor?
It needs salt.
Victor is never satisfied. Never satisfied. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I'm going to do with this. And like I said, well, first of all, let me tell you what I'm going to do with this. So, this right here, I'm going to make burritos, just like I did with the breakfast burritos. I'm going to go ahead and this will make at least 20 burritos, if not more. But we'll probably end up eating some of this out of a bowl or a plate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on a burrito. I'm going to add some cheese. That's about 1 pound of mozzarella cheese. And I like mozzarella cheese on my burritos that's got rice in it, because it's got like a creamy texture. And I also like the stringiness. So the creamy texture goes really well with the Dominican rice. All right. And it's a good complement. In addition to that, I'm going to add a little bit of black beans to some of the burritos. I don't have any pinto beans right now that are ready for me to use. So I'm going to add some black beans to some of them. Mrs. Alaska Pepper doesn't really like black beans, so I'm going to do about half and half. That way we both have some of each, and the kids don't mind. They'll eat either or. But you can put black beans, pinto beans, any kind of beans you want on this, if you want to put any beans at all. Obviously, it's your burrito. You're making it. You make it how you want to. But before I sign off, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to reiterate, if you go back to the beginning of the video, you'll see that from the beginning of the video, all of the prep time involved, if you use the sofrito recipe that I gave you, you're looking at less than 15 minutes from the beginning to when you put that pot on low heat to cook. All right. So imagine yourself coming home after a busy day. In 15 minutes, you can have a good meal cooking while you get into your house clothes, let's say. All right. By the time you're out of your house clothes and you're ready to settle down and have a good dinner, it'll be done for you. All right. So it's that easy to make a good, nutritious meal. And I would reckon to say that this meal right here, if you bought something like this at a restaurant, just one serving alone, you're going to probably pay in, on the average of about between $7 to $11. And there's a lot of food here. All right. There's a lot of food here. I would say that if you were just counting this, if you were just going to eat this rice here that you see here, there's probably enough food there for about 8 meals. Okay. And not that expensive at all. Okay, because rice is very cheap, vegetables were very cheap. You saw me make the sofrito, not very expensive at all. And if you want to use cheese, you can, but you don't have to. All right, so I hope that you guys try this out, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, it's very simple to make some good, nutritious meals at a fraction of the price that you're going to pay for it elsewhere. So just take the time during the weekend or whenever you have a day off during your weekend to prep some items for the week, like some sofrito, all right? Put away some burritos that you made yourself. It'll give you an easier transition from work to your home to dinner. All right, easier for you to get your dinner taken care of at night, and you'll always have something nutritious to eat instead of the junk that you buy at the stores nowadays. All right, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I truly hope that you guys appreciate this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You got something out of it. If you did, please don't be afraid to press the like button and share this. Share this with other people that you love. That way they can learn how to make tasty Dominican food, Alaska prepper style. Having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.